Alright guys, what's up? This week, instead of typing this out, I'm going to be doing a podcast. Virtually the same thing, except this time you just get to hear my voice. Last week I want to point out I went 4-0 in the pick'ems on the teams. It's pretty good. Can't really do too much better than that. And had a couple stardoms. Probably would have won. Nope. Would have won a couple people some games had they listened to me. Had a couple sit-ems. People probably wouldn't have lost so bad. I'm going to go ahead and continue to do my thing. Maybe eventually you'll start listening to Auntie Picklebottom. My first matchup here I'm looking at, I just clicked on a random one. It's Arian the Barbarian versus a Paytex Condoms. It's a pretty terrible name. First off, just looking at these matchups, I'd say Arian the Barbarian has a huge advantage at quarterback. Names alone, but take the matchups into effect. Matt Ryan versus a crappy San Diego defense, and Andy Dalton versus Washington, crappy defense. I'd probably say the quarterbacks are about even this week. Running backs, Arian the Barbarian kind of is leagues above Paytex Condoms. He's got Michael Bush in there, a backup, and Trent Richardson, a rookie who had a pretty abysmal week one. This isn't gonna be a close matchup. It's not much to this review here. Just a stacked lineup here on the left of Arian the Barbarian. He should run away with this one pretty quickly. I'm not sure what ESPN's looking at here. They do have Paytex Condom projected to win by 15. Other than Jimmy Graham and his quarterbacks, I don't see anybody that's going to do too much. I'll start here on the stardoms. I'll look on the bench of Arian the Barbarian here. He's got hasn't really got much talent on his bench here, but if I had to pick one person that I like on his bench to have a big week, I'd probably pick Torrey Smith. The ball's constantly getting thrown at the guy, and he's always going downfield. New England doesn't really have the best secondary. Probably one of the worst secondaries, actually. If I had to pick a stardom for Paytex Condoms, I'm going to go... if Ryan Matthews is a go, I think you got to go with him. But if he's not a go, I'll go with your boy Isaac Redman there versus pretty crappy Oakland defense that gave about 200 and something rushing yards to Reggie Bush alone. I think Isaac will have a pretty good game versus them. I'll do my sit-ems here in the same segment. Looking over Arian the Barbarian's roster here. Not really an easy sit-em here. But if I did have to pick one, you can go McGahee versus the Houston defense. The biggest asset of Houston defense is probably the run game. So you would probably expect Denver to pass on them, even though McGahee did have a big game last week. If I had to pick a sit-em on Paytex Condoms, I'm going to go with Michael Bush. Unless I'm seeing something that I don't know. I'm pretty sure Forte's playing. If Forte's not playing, I guess you can keep him in. Santonio Holmes, I don't really get to start there, so you could bench him either or. St. Louis defense versus Michael Bush. St. Louis isn't really too shabby, so you could probably bench that guy. He sucks. I'm going to go on to my next matchup here. I'm going to click. It happens to be a football in Tapenade versus a Crimea Rivers. That's not very clever. Probably heard that one about every year for the past 5 years. But moving on from that, quarterbacks about even. If you say the Arizona defense sucks like I think they do, you would say that football on top of it has the advantage. But granted, they just held Tom Brady. Gonna have to count them as good. You gotta like football on top of nuts running backs here, Lynch and Bush. Crimea River's got some pretty beast mode ones too here. I mean, this is looking like a pretty close matchup. The more I look at it here, the wide receivers are pretty even. This might actually come down to the flex tight end position. It's going to be a pretty close game. Witten's not really a super great tight end to have in your fantasy team. I mean, he catches a lot of balls, but he doesn't really score too much. Alfred Morris is a Washington running back. So, starting a Washington running back is kind of a joke. I'm going to go ahead and pick football and top it on to win this one in a close match, anywhere from 5 to 10 points. I'm not going to do a start 'em sit 'em on my own team here because why wouldn't I already have that person in? If I had to pick a sit 'em off of Crimea Rivers, I think I just called him out, Alfred Morris. I would never start any Washington running back, but I guess if you did have to start one, he'd probably be the only one ever. Start him off of your bench here. It's a pretty weak bench. Oddly, I'm going to go with Chris Johnson here. A lot of people probably don't like him. He's got 23 total rushing yards on the year. But after calling out his offensive line, I would just have a weird feeling they're going to give him the ball a little more here. Plus, Detroit defense is not very consistent week in and week out. I'm going to go into the next matchup here. It is I'm not sure if I'm supposed to yell this or say very boldly because it's in all caps, but it is a Miami Swamp Ass versus a SpongeBob SquarePants. Just taking a first glance at these teams. Quarterbacks are about even. Cam Newton did only get 9 points. That's not really boding well for SquarePants here, but Stafford can probably put up 30 to make up for that. Brady versus Baltimore. Baltimore sounds scary, but they're not. They're really not. Brady usually plays well versus them. Peyton versus Houston. He'll get an even amount of points here. This matchup looks like it might come down to the running backs. Frank Gore's been playing really well. McFadden versus Pitt. No Palomalu. Charles could have a big game versus New Orleans. I'm not really worried about the injury last week. I'm going to pick an upset here. I'm going to go with a Miami Swamp Ass over the 2-0 SpongeBob SquarePants. In a close match. Once again, probably anywhere from 1 to 10 points. One of this match. This one could go either way, but I'm going to pick the upset here. The 0-2 beating the 2-0. My sit-ems here. Looking at Miami Swamp Ass. I see a questionable next to Lloyd. I do like the start on him this week, but if I did have to pick a sit-em on this roster, probably go with the Jets defense. I mean, I don't really get starting them versus Miami after Miami just beat a better defense last week. They scored about 40 points on them. I don't really get the Jets start. Their defense really hasn't been cut all year. If I had to pick a sit-em off SpongeBob SquarePants, Pettigrew. I mean, I don't really get the start there. I'll note that and who I'm going to tell you to start. In my start, I'll just stick with the same team, SquarePants, and Antonio Gates. I don't really know why he's on your bench. Him or Wes Welker. It's kind of baffling that they're both on your bench. I'm going to go over to the other team, Miami Swamp Ass. And you don't have a defense on your bench, or else I would tell you to start a defense. If I had to pick somebody to start on your bench, I go to Eric Decker versus Houston. Like I said before, they're not going to be running the ball very well, so they're definitely going to have to pass, and he's one of only 3 options for Peyton to pass to. I see him. He could probably have a pretty big game versus Houston. I'm going to go into the last matchup here. It is a Come On Rodgers or Step Up Rodgers, or There He Goes Rodgers, or I don't know. He changes his name every week. Versus Neil and T. Below Me, which I don't get the name either because Tebow's not even on your team. I thought that was a rule number 19. You can't name your team after a player that's on somebody else's team. Just looking at these starting lineups here. Rodgers, Fitz, running backs. Turner's kind of weak. Eli, Romo, Julio, Austin, Hartline. This is another close matchup. We got a lot of close matchups this week. I'm going to go ahead and pick step up Rodgers here to take this one. I think Aaron Rodgers probably throw all over Seattle. I think that defense is good, but not good enough to stop Rodgers. And Eli did only get 15 for Neal and Tablomi, and I don't think that's enough to help him pull out the win. I'm going to go over to Siddums first here, and I'm going to throw out a Michael Turner. I haven't looked at your bench yet to see if you can start anybody in his place, but he sucks. I mean, quite frankly, he's not doing anything. And he just got a DUI. He might not even play. They'll probably cut his playing time. That's why I'm going with that. If I pick a Situm off of Neal and Tubomi, I mean, Brian Hartline, it's got to be a better option on your bench. I mean, I would probably wait another week. I know Revis is out, but Tannehill isn't really. You haven't seen what he can do yet as far as consistency goes. Pick a stardom off of your bench. I'm going to go Danny Amendola. I mean, after a huge week last week and then you bench him this week, I'd be pretty pissed off if I was Danny Amendola and you were my coach. 15 catches for, I think, what do you have, almost 200 yards, and then you bench him. I don't get it. I'm going to go over the stardoms. On the other side here, I'm going to look for a running back, see if you got anybody I would start. You don't. You probably, if Steven Jackson's a go, maybe put him in there. I do like Denorius Moore on your bench. He showed he come back from the injury. He showed a little bit last week. He's bound to have a big week. He's just a deep threat, and Carson likes to throw at him. That's who I'd start. Tell me what you guys think about the podcast. It's my first one ever, so if I sound like an idiot, you can let me know. If you like it, let me know. Just post up. Good luck to you all. I hope you like what I said. Peace.